feel good.
My face is numb.
Your face or your face?
My whole body is numb.
Well, I got my vaccines yesterday. So.
I'm trying to act like a normal human being, but I can't today. I just can't. Live from an ESG-flavored election booth, Jeremy pen cap. Oh, did you vote today? Did you use a pen? Did you touch the Jeremy pen?
Yeah, there's no cap on it, though.
I feel like you're anti-germ. It's an all-new, terrific Tuesday edition of Business Pants, joined by analyst whole Matt Moscardi. Woo!
Yeah, look at my little voting sticker. You see it in the live? Yeah, I voted. I did it already.
On today's Election Day filled Director Emeritus box called November 5th, 2024, a true ESG Election Day headline game.
Yeah. Is this just to distract us from the election or make it worse?
It's a little bit of both.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I already feel ill. My whole body's numb. I'm like, my face is about to defecate. I just feel horrible.
Oh, no. Please don't.
I hate today. Our show today is being sponsored by freeflowanalytics.com, the only platform measuring board power, connections, and performance for free. That'll
really
still
nice
exist
segue
tomorrow, right?
Really nice segue into the ad copy. My face feels like it's going to defecate. I hate today. Our show today is being sponsored by...
Feel ill. Well, let me ask you this. If the worst happens today, will freeflowanalytics.com still be available tomorrow for free?
Freeflowanalytics.com. I think if the worst happens, I'm going to make everything, like I'll just put everything up for free and put a sign on it saying, gone to Switzerland or wherever.
Now, I hear that the data nerds are currently acquiring a bunch of non-profit board data as well.
That is correct. So this is what we're coding now. Yeah. So if you're a listener to this show, Freeflow Analytics is not a defunct entity that just sits on its laurels. We are coding.
Yeah, we're not Mitch McConnell.
We are. We're not a chair emeritus.
No.
We are coding. We're taking every United States nonprofit that files with the IRS, the boards of every nonprofit, and matching it to the bios and director names of every publicly traded director, so we can get a complete map of not just like where they sit on a publicly traded board, but every nonprofit that has to file with the IRS. It's a massive undertaking. We're the only ones who are doing it.
Are you ready for your election day? I don't know what this is. This is what it is. I'm calling this "Who Would You Rather Be or Vote For?" I don't know. Matt, I'm going to present a headline. I'm going to present a headline, and then I'm going to pick a couple of people that go with the headline, and then you're essentially going to vote for the winner, or who would you rather be, or who's the winner, or however you want to say. You're the voter. You're the election day ESG voter.
So I'm electing the winner of each of these quiz
Sure.
things.
Yeah. These are all based on real headlines over the past few days in our corporate governance ESG world, okay?
It's not a confusing quiz at all. Let's try it.
None of them are. Come on.
All right, here we go.
Let's start at the top.
You gotta wait.
Do we have game show music?
No, because it's not a game showy day. It's
election day.
It's election day. We got to take America seriously.
What am I waiting for?
I played the music. Now you go.
Yeah, well, thanks to Riverside, I didn't hear the music. All right, here we go. One of the favorites on this show, Home Depot co-founder.
Are they a favorite? I don't think they're a favorite.
Co-founder and famous Republican donor Bernie Marcus, dead at 95.
Oh, that's sad,
Look,
right?
Well, before I get into the vote here, I wonder, do you think he got to vote before he died? He's a very famous Trump supporter. Matt, he endorsed Trump in November 2023. He was that far ahead of the Trump train.
He wasn't waiting.
Give you some context. He also said 2 years ago that nobody works, nobody gives a damn. Just give it to me. Send me money. I don't want to work. I'm too lazy. I'm too fat. I'm too stupid. Blah, blah, blah.
That's
blah,
a quote?
Yeah, that's the Bernie Marcus that we all know.
Where is he? Where is he? Where does he live? Where's he from? Is he from a swing state? Because otherwise his vote doesn't really count, does it?
Well, do we know where Home Depot was headquartered? I'm guessing it's a red state.
I think it's like New Jersey. Like,
is that right?
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Well,
and he wouldn't live there anyway.
I'm seeing Georgia as the headquarters, the current headquarters.
A swing state. Maybe he does live there. Oh, well, hopefully.
We don't know. So, yeah. So here's a question, Matt. In honor of Bernie Marcus dead, who would you rather be? Who would you vote for? Lead independent director at Home Depot, Gregory Brenneman. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's a lead independent director. I use that in air quotes. CEO Ed Decker. He's already on the board. Okay. So there's already a CEO in chair.
Okay.
So someone's already running the board.
Not much of a job. Yeah, sure.
And he doesn't have to sit on any committees. All other independent directors at Home Depot sit on at least 2 committees.
But he doesn't. So he just shows up to the board meetings. Got it.
He made almost $400,000 in pay last year to meet only 11 times.
Wow, nice.
And he was only one of 2 directors who didn't even give to charity as part of the board's matching charitable contribution program. So he doesn't really do much.
I mean, he's not on a committee, so like he doesn't have the little extra that comes from the committee to give to the charity. I get it.
But according to our data, he has a little bit of power. He has 14% of influence compared to the CEO who has 25%. So he has a little bit of a voice. So that's your first choice. The second choice is Director Gerard Arpey, who made over $300,000 with no pressure, only 3% influence. He has no leadership roles. He sits on a couple of committees, but there's several other directors on those committees.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have a real job. It says he's been a partner in Emerald Creek Group since 2012. But the bio said that he retired in 2011, so that's not a real job, I guess. Emerald Creek's website is great, by the way. It's a picture of an orange grove, and there's a news section as the company, but the company has a news section. And I'm serious. The last listed event was from November 2011 when he joined Emerald
really?
Creek
That
Group.
was the last news.
So who would you rather be?
Great.
Who would you rather be? Lead independent director at Home Depot, Gregory Brenneman, or a low influence director, Gerard Arpey? Who wins? Who's you voting for?
This is actually hard.
I like this. All right. Who are you voting for?
If I'm voting, I am voting for. I want
a little bit of power.
I want to be Arpey. That's who I want to be.
Nothing.
I don't
Just a
want
nobody.
to. I don't want to
Nothing. No
issue the
influence.
statement about how great Bernie Marcus was. I just want to be like the co-signer on the board who no one cares about. He's on the nominating committee, right? Like so
With 4 other directors.
It's like who's he really? He's not nominating anybody. He's
no leadership roles. $300,000. Nothing.
The only reason why I would have picked Brenneman would have been I only meet 11 times instead of
That's
the
true.
nominating
That's true.
committee meets an extra 6 times a year, right?
But you may have to say a few things.
No, not really. You just have to say
Probably
yes.
not.
So I'm
Yeah.
going to go with Arpey, and I think that's the correct answer. I elect Gerard Arpey.
So you see how this goes? You see how this election goes?
Yeah, no, it's riveting.
Yeah, let's keep going from there. Meta Platforms permits.
Oh, no, I don't like this already.
Permits its AI models to be used for U.S. military purposes. So it's going to let U.S. government agencies and contractors working on national security use its artificial intelligence models for military purposes. It's also going to work with defense contractors such as Lockheed Martin and Booz Allen. Now, Meta's move is an exception to its acceptable use policy, which forbade the use of the company's AI software for military warfare, nuclear industries.
Yeah, there it is.
Purposes.
Yeah,
so
this
isn't Meta a wonderful universe?
Yeah,
isn't it a wonderful world? So
the exception is as soon as we get a military contract, then we'll
by
do
we
it.
you mean Mark Zuckerberg, one of the 2 people up for election.
Yeah.
So here's the election.
Oh, he's up for election.
Yeah, here's the election. Who would you vote for? Who would you rather be? Meta Platforms Emperor Mark Zuckerberg. We know all about Mark Zuckerberg, right? We know all his power and wealth. Or how about Meta director? How about John Arnold, who has only 1% of influence? He's the guy, the former Enron guy. He got the Enron's biggest bonus ever, $8 million.
Wow.
He makes about $500,000 annually to sit on the Meta Platforms board. He also received initial equity grants worth about $1.5 million. Although I will say he doesn't really need the money. He was supposedly the youngest billionaire in the U.S. as of 2007. So who'd you voting for here?
There is no way on earth that I want to be Mark Zuckerberg. Never.
Okay.
That's not even a thing.
Yeah.
Being John Arnold, the ultimate troll is being John Arnold. You were the guy who left Enron as it collapsed with $8 million in your pocket. Yeah. And somehow you are sitting on the audit and risk committee of an international company. That's fabulous. That's fabulous. The correct answer and only answer is John Arnold. There isn't another answer.
Let's keep moving. Next headline, Boeing union approves new contract ending costly strike. How about that? 59% of members say yes to a contract that will raise wages more than 43% over the next 4 years. There's also a ratification bonus of $12,000. Big win, right, for the workers?
Well, here's what concerns me about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Only 59% voted for it. Now,
well, what they didn't get was, I will say, what they did not get was they wanted to restore the company's pension plan. That was frozen a decade ago, but they, I guess some of the workers are getting a little nervous that this was never going to end, and they voted for
it. But 59% of them, which means, in a way, you could say Kelly Ortberg won here, right? Because he didn't give them what they wanted. But he had to give them something. It was inevitable he was going to have to give them something, but he didn't give them exactly what they wanted. So, and they weren't happy with it, right?
I will say this, it's been almost 2 months. Bank of America analysts estimated that Boeing was losing about $50 million a day.
Ooh. So, are you really sad if you're Boeing because you just raised $20 billion in funds from the market? Like that ignores the fact that everyone there doesn't know how to make a plane.
Well, Matt, you've set up this election perfectly. This is who are you voting for? Would you rather be current CEO Kelly Ortberg, who inherited this mess and gets to continue being the CEO of Boeing, or how about former CEO David Calhoun?
Oh no, this is
who got to step down. Who got to step down when he felt like it, and got almost $100 million in total pay since 2020.
Oh no, I don't like either of these choices.
You don't want to be. Come on, you really want to be Kelly Ortberg?
No one wants to be Kelly Ortberg, right? Like you have to be Dave Calhoun because you don't have to deal with any of this, and you made $100 million in compensation.
He might as well run for president. Right? I mean, after everything he accomplished at Boeing, why not run for president?
Yeah. All right. I'm Dave Calhoun. I'm my worst nightmare.
All right, let's move on to this next headline. Kroger, the company Kroger, finalizes a $1.4 billion opioid crisis settlement. I kind of forgot that this was happening.
I can't believe they're still settling this.
Of course, under the agreement, there was no actual admission of wrongdoing or liability.
Well, why would they? Yeah.
But they did agree to pay over $1 billion over the next 11 years.
Really, $100 million a year? How much?
Yeah.
How much do they make in
revenue?
I
don't know why they couldn't give that out all at once.
This is increasingly bad.
So here's the election. Who would you rather be? Current CEO and chair Rodney McMullen, who's been there since 2014, ostensibly, responsible for all this. He holds $350 million in Kroger stock, has been paid almost $100 million since 2019, and he still receives shareholder support of 92% at the last election. So no one's blaming CEO and chair Rodney McMullen. Would you rather vote for him, or how about the chair of the Public Responsibilities Committee?
Oh no,
that met a whopping 3 times last year. She's been on that. She's been chair of that committee for 4 years. She's been on the committee for 9 years. That's Director Emeritus of McKinsey & Company, Nora Offreiter. She had a career at McKinsey. She holds $3 million in Kroger stock, Matt. She makes $300,000 a year sitting on this board, and she got the support of 98% of shareholders last year. So who are we? I don't know who's to blame here, but who are you voting for?
Well, look, the Public Responsibilities Committee did meet 3 times, so that covered all public responsibility that Kroger has. So no wonder why she gets the support. I'm going to be Rodney McMullen here. I'm going to be CEO and chair. I'm pretty sure he goes home and gets to say he got away with one, didn't he? It's not exactly like they're clawing back his pay, right?
No.
He made as much since 2019 as they're planning on paying out every single year by himself. In a 5-year period, he's made as much money as they're going to pay out to people who are dying of opioid addiction.
How about this?
That's insane.
How about this? You know how the SEC mandates that the companies release a CEO pay ratio, in every proxy statement?
Yeah, I know that.
Just in dividend payments alone last year, he made $600,000, which is 20 to 1 more than the median worker.
Nice.
Just in dividend payments.
Rodney.
He's 20 times more than the median worker.
Yeah, I definitely chose right this time. Yeah.
All right, let's move on. I don't think you're going to like this next one. This is for our 2024 election day, trying to get over all the nausea that's coming with this election day by giving you a quiz, Matt. Here we go. Here's the headline. Elon Musk.
Oh, can we just skip it now? I don't want to be anyone.
And I'm just reminding people that he is the CEO of Tesla. I'm just reminding everyone.
Yeah, I read that somewhere.
Elon Musk and X are the epicenter of U.S. election misinformation. That's the headline. False or misleading claims by Elon Musk about the U.S. election have amassed at least 2 billion views on social media platform X this year, according to a nonprofit group Center for Countering Digital Hate. So here's the election, Matt. Who would you rather be? Who are you voting for? Someone who drives a Tesla or someone who drives literally anything else?
There we go. Anything else.
Including the vehicle from this headline, guy makes dodgy e-bike from 130 used vapes to make point about e-waste.
Yeah, I want the e-bike. I would take that every single day, everywhere.
Can you imagine still driving a Tesla? That's my real question. If any of our listeners, you made a plea for some of our listeners to respond last week, and a few of them reached out.
We did get some reach out.
Do we have any? Nice. Do we have any listeners that want to admit that they still drive a Tesla? Please reach out to Matt.
Look, the hard part is cars are like you buy it 7 years ago and you were excited about it and you still own it now, and now it's a problem.
You can abandon your lease.
I actually think people do not associate the widget that they have with people, right? Like that's why we need free flow analytics.
This is what we're trying to do here, people.
If you're listening, Free Flow Analytics, sponsor of this show, make an app so you can go into your local Target or Walmart or wherever, and you can scan every product, and some dope's face comes up who is getting paid by the company that makes that product. Then you'll have some sort of association with it, right? Like then you'll be like, wait, that's the guy I'm giving money to? That's not great. Because I think people don't truly associate Musk with the product. They say the car is great. He's a crazy person. And then they can justify because the car is great.
Well, look, if you're a Kamala supporter and that's your and you still drive a Tesla and that's your attitude, like, oh, he's just a crazy person, you might want to come over here.
She needs all the votes she can get. Can you just keep it down? Just keep it down.
Teach you a lesson. All right.
What lesson are you going to teach them?
I only have 3 more for our horrible ESG election day quiz or whatever this is, game or all right. The most exciting board in our universe over the last month has definitely been at Southwest Airlines, right? Everything happens at Southwest Airlines board. Here's the latest headline. Southwest Airlines names Rakesh Gangwal as board chair following Gary Kelly's quote-unquote retirement.
Is that real?
Yeah, what? Tell me why you're reacting like that.
Because that guy is the guy who bought a tremendous amount of Southwest stock.
$100 million worth of shares, yes.
To get on the board in the first place.
Yes.
Because he's friends with Gary Kelly and Bob Jordan.
And to be clear, Gary Kelly's not going anywhere. He's just moving his chair over a little bit because he is now that, and it's right on the website. When you search on Google for Southwest Airlines Board of Directors, and you go to the investor relations page on Southwest Airlines, Gary Kelly's picture's still there. He's the chairman emeritus. He's still on the board.
Can you list maybe the banner companies that Rakesh Gangwal has been on the board of that would make us think he's going to be a good board chair?
First of all, he's the co-founder of a budget airline, and nothing makes you feel better than a budget airline.
I love a good don't spend any money on the airline.
Indigo Airlines in India. He's the former CEO and chair at U.S. Airways Group.
Okay, that's not
remember
so good.
That?
Yeah, I remember when that existed. Yeah, sure.
And he's also served on the boards of some of America's favorite companies like CarMax, Office Depot, Office Max, and PetSmart.
Office Max and PetSmart, do they even exist anymore? Office Depot is in structural decline. CarMax is useless. U.S. Air Group is bankrupt. This is the guy who's going to usher in the new life at Southwest. That's
all
it.
I'm going to say is this. If people are allowed to spend $100 million to become board chairs, then you as investors are allowed to vote against any direction you want without worrying about setting a precedent, like risking your job, making a stand, offending someone. How about you just do your job while Rakesh does his job?
If you're an investor, this is your chance. This is like a makeup call for electing Dave Calhoun back to the board and approving his pay. This is your opportunity to say, you know what? It's not as egregious, but this is like very patently, obviously not someone who should chair the board of this company. Like, put the new Elliott people in. Let Elliott run that's the point. That's why we liked having the activists there. What are my options here? Because
here's
one of them is
who you're voting for.
That's a no.
Well, here's who you're voting for. Actually, 3 options on this one. This is like ranked voter choice, like we have up here in Maine. First choice, Rakesh Gangwal.
No,
that's your first
I don't
choice.
want to be him.
Second choice, current chair emeritus Gary Kelly, who's
100% want to be
who's
that
not
guy.
going away. Or how about the third choice, the now longest tenured independent director Douglas Brooks. He has no leadership roles. He owns over $2 million in stock. He makes $300,000 a year just to sit there. And bear with me, I'm going to tell you about one other perk he has that you might like.
Ooh.
While serving on the board, he has free travel on Southwest Airlines for himself, his spouse, and his children, as well as 50 one-way flight passes annually that may be used for free travel anywhere on an unrestricted basis, and an additional 50 one-way flight passes he can give to any charity he wants.
Whoa.
Also, after he steps down on the board, he has a lifetime privilege of 50 one-way flight passes annually for anywhere Southwest travels. He has lifetime free travel for his spouse if he dies. He also has lifetime free travel for himself and his wife after he steps down, and they give him $75,000 in cash.
Let me ask you a follow-up question because this will make the difference between.
I love it. This is still. I love it. Directors, after everything that Elliott went through, I love it. Directors still get this stupid waste of shareholder value benefit.
Why would you be on the board of Southwest if not
Elliott,
to get
come
free
on.
flights?
And I just saw this in a filing that they keep getting this. Elliott, you're not doing your job if they're still getting
Here's my question, and this will make the difference because otherwise I'm going with Gary Kelly for sure because he gets all the same perks, if not better ones. I gotta imagine. Are the trips on Southwest transferable to a better airline?
No, they're not.
Then it's Gary Kelly for me. Yeah. That's who I'm electing.
But unless maybe Rakesh is going to push for a merger with Indigo and U.S. Airways. And Northwest Airlines and whatever other airline that's failed.
The remnants of U.S. Airlines somewhere, but yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
All right, so you're voting for who? Gary Kelly?
Gary Kelly, 100%. Well, that guy gets to sit in the corner with no responsibilities.
Yeah,
but people are still going to listen to him.
They're still going to be afraid of him. Yeah. 2 more. How about this one? Here's the headline: Barry Diller calls timing of the Washington Post non-endorsement a blunder. So his friend Jeff Bezos.
Oh, okay.
He said that it was absolutely a principled decision not to endorse the president, but it was poorly timed. But he's supporting his friend Jeff Bezos. Okay, just so you know. Okay.
Why? What do I care about this at all?
So here's the question, and I'm digging into our database here, freeflowanalytics.com. Which Barry Diller directorship would you vote for? Okay, I got 4.
Okay. I'm voting for a directorship. Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, so he sits on 4 boards in our
ephemeral
database. He has 27% influence at Expedia Group, where he's the chair and the senior executive. He holds nearly $2 billion in equity at that company with about 49% in voting power.
I think
That's
that
the first
number
one.
influence might be understating his power there. But yeah, continue.
He sits on the board of the Coca-Cola company, where he owns $12 million in shares, gets $300,000 annual pay.
Does that come with free Coca-Cola on your Southwest
And he sits on
flight?
3 board committees. He's also on the board of MGM Resorts,
No, I'm out.
where a company he owns 20% of MGM equity. But there he has no leadership, only sits on 1 committee. And finally, he sits on the board of IAC, where he's the chair and the senior executive once again. He owns $650 million in equity and has 43% voting power. Where do you...
Okay, so
where do you land on this one?
I don't like soda, so I don't want to have to hawk Coca-Cola.
Do you like gambling?
I don't mind gambling, but I don't like Vegas. So I don't know how to gel those things.
So MGM is out,
That leaves me with IAC and Expedia.
Well, I will say Expedia, he owns nearly $2 billion in equity.
But I don't like traveling that much.
Okay,
so I'm going to go with the IAC by process of elimination.
What does IAC even do? Remind me. Does it just own stuff?
They own like Match.com, and they own
Well, they also own 20% of MGM.
Yeah, so fine. I'm like, I get the gambling without having to go to Vegas you
get 65% of board influence if you're at IAC. So that seems like the right choice.
That is the right choice. Yeah,
and they still pay him. They still pay him $3 million a year.
Ooh, I like getting $3 million for.
They also pay him an Expedia Group $7 million a year. So not only does he
own Expedia,
but not only does he own like these companies, but they keep paying him for some stupid reason.
I would love to get salaries at 7 different companies.
All right, let's end this horrible ESG election day.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of this
event with this last question. Let's end in Omaha, Nebraska, where this small district might actually decide our next president. Remember, Nebraska splits its electoral votes into two clumps, right? And one of them is actually where the world famous CEO Warren Buffett lives, right?
Oh, is he voting? Do we know?
Here's the headline: Warren Buffett skipped endorsing a presidential candidate this election, as many CEOs retreat from politics. So, I mean, you're one of the world's richest men. Everyone loves you, but why have any input in anything? Why make a stand?
Like, has he ever endorsed anybody? Is that like a thing he does?
I think he's a known Democrat. No, he's supported Democratic candidates in the past.
Someone explain to me why known Democrats. I know they like Kamala Harris. We know that they do. Why are none of them saying that out loud?
Well, is this
like a Hillary effect? It's just because she's a woman?
The headline I forgot to pick, which I think you'll probably be happy with because you're getting already sick of this game, is that we reported last week that the only thing that Jamie Dimon doesn't say is that he's supporting Kamala Harris.
That's right.
But there's a headline yesterday that Jamie Dimon's wife is in Michigan canvassing for Kamala Harris, knocking on doors. So she's willing to say, but Jamie Dimon is too afraid to say who he's voting for.
Was the headline Jamie Dimon's wife says Kamala?
All right, so
what am I choosing?
In light of one of the world's richest men being too afraid to endorse a candidate in what seems to be a rather important election here in the United States.
Slightly, yeah, sure.
Who's here you're voting for? Would you rather be Warren Buffett? I mean, granted, he's 93.
No, I'm not relishing death.
Top 10 richest people in the world. Or how about some of his nepo babies? Would you rather be Howard Buffett and Susan Buffett, who sit on the Berkshire Hathaway board? Okay.
Look, it's a little concerning to me that.
You have one more choice.
Oh, okay.
Or you could be the only offspring of Warren Buffett who's not on the Berkshire Hathaway board, and that's nepo baby Peter Buffett, who, after dropping out of Stanford University, used the proceeds of his inheritance from his grandfather to pursue a career in music.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one you want to be?
Yeah, it would concerns me a little bit that Howard and or Susan Buffett were not even in the running for like taking over
CEO. Yeah, that's Greg Abels.
I mean, like, so are they really that capable? Like, are they do they get anything for not just because they're Buffetts? Like, is there something else?
Why do we okay, we know that Warren Buffett has 3 children. we know that Susan is the oldest child. Why do you think that he put both of them on the board? Do you think do you think he didn't want to put Susan on the board, but he felt like he had to because she was the oldest?
Wow, that's.
And where's Peter? Why is Peter not on the board? But why does the Berkshire Hathaway board need 2 of his children? Why were they okay with that in that boardroom?
Well, Peter might have just made the choice that, like, I do not want to be a Buffett. Like
the dropout.
I'd rather be Jimmy Buffett than Warren Buffett.
I like that family has so much money that he didn't even need the inheritance from his dad. He actually took it from his grandfather. Who was a former representative, former congressperson from Nebraska.
But these are the funny, like, the tales we tell about billionaires, like self-made billionaires. They generally gloss over the fact that, like, Elon Musk's dad had tremendous amount of money.
Yes,
Warren
absolutely.
Buffett's dad was a senator with lots of money and influence.
Yes, absolutely.
We just got, like, Donald Trump's dad built the actual empire.
Sure,
like,
of course.
Why talk about that when we could talk about the guy with the money today and that they look like they must be doing something right? I went canvassing over the weekend and ran into somebody who told
Peter
me,
Buffett or Jamie Dimon's wife?
That would have been great. No. Someone told me, why should I vote for Kamala? Elon Musk says I should vote for Trump, and look at that guy. He's totally successful. And I had to say, I said to them, do you know that his family he comes from a lot of money. He was an illegal immigrant in this country for a period, and he got $400 million from the United States government to start his companies. So success is built on something else, and it wasn't just that he's smart. And they were like, oh, I didn't know that. So I don't think anyone really does pay attention to that. That's where we are. That's
what
why
I fear.
Went knocking on doors.
That's what I fear from every one of our shows is that nobody knows or cares.
So the correct answer is Peter Buffett, because that guy,
be a musician.
You know why? Because that guy can go into like a bar in the Lower East Side of Manhattan and play an open mic night, and no one would even
Nobody will care
that he was a thing. No one would. He wouldn't be in the news. No one would care. So Peter Buffett all day. Did I win? Did I win the election?
I think for once, I think you kind of got them all right.
There we go.
You voted how I would have voted on pretty much every instance.
It was usually the minimal amount of work for the maximum amount of money. That's what I.
There you go. That's our election day. I hope that your face is not numb.
My face is numb, and thanks to our sponsor, Free Flow Analytics, my face is going to defecate on them because of this election. That's it. That's all we got this week. Damien,
that seems like enough.
We won't be back until Friday, but we have a very special guest lined up for this week for the Proxy Countdown. We're going to talk to an activist investor from Korea, from Flashlight Capital, who's looking to change KT&G, the Korea Tobacco and Ginseng Company. We're going to talk to him about what it's like being an activist, whether or not he gets a lot of fan mail, all sorts of stuff. That's all we got. Good luck on the election. Go vote if you haven't. Until Friday, goodbye.